and sensitivity straightforward, and so on. Neutral is if your peripheral itself is not sat dead center, you can change the neutral position just to get it into the crosshairs, but we don't know because this is not moving. This isn't showing the movement in the axis at the moment. So that's what we've got there. What's also interesting is, so we've just configured aileron axis to joystick L, axis X. If we click on this cog here,
Yeah.
we come up with a number of options. Now, what all this is, I gotta be honest,
I don't know.
I have no clue.
Same.
If you guys know, please let me know. I don't know what that is. Aileron axis, joystick, I don't know what all these would do. Or anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Let's say that you've configured your control and you want to you get in the aircraft and you find your pitch up and down are reversed. Well, this is where you can come here and invert this is where you would change. So if your throttle, for example, you went full throttle but it went to throttle idle in the sim, this is where you would change that. Tweak the action curve takes us back to where we were, and you can delete the assigned control. I've tried to overwrite controls from here, and that does work as well. Control listener, I don't know what it does, guys. So if any of you can tell me what a control listener does, I'd appreciate it.
It listens to your control.
It would be very, very helpful, because I really just don't know. You can click on it to your heart's.
Just annoying. This thing is absolutely massive. This is some lake, blimey.
Beautiful.
It is absolutely huge. How many people visit this thing? You can land on the volcano. You can't land on that. It's too small. I think they need to adjust some of their missions. Like that one pretty much set us up for the photograph just from the start position. They should probably like put you on a runway over there or an airstrip or something and just say fly over and do it.
God, I want to play that game so. Gust of 20.
Look at that colour when the sun comes right up. Look at that colour, it's just absolutely amazing. That is so blue. I hiked to Crater Lake, it was a 2-mile hike and was a beat hike up 1,000 foot up. I thought it was worth it.
Okay.
Ooh, maybe we could put it down there, what do you think? Yeah, they've not got like proper photogrammetry here yet.
Fuck. Go down to 10,000. Okay.
Well, it's not only that. This thing's 7,400 feet elevation, so that's brutal. Climbing at that elevation is brutal in itself. I don't think we can land on that. What about the peak up there? I already have to have a permit.
Come on. Cool. Cinema in crisis.
Whose chopper is this?
Zed's.
Who's Zed?
Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead.
Nu v-au lăsat, bă, băieți, până una pur și în gură și
Multiple attempts to define postmodernism as a cultural and artistic phenomenon focus on concepts such as fluidity, playfulness, pastiche, and the blending of low and high culture. However, the need for a definition calls for an understanding of what postmodernism changes from its precursor, which is modernism.
Te la mangeresti una pizza?
In both cinema and art, modernity was characterized by a
Cinema.
closer relationship with reality, driven by a desire to depict its multifaceted social dimensions. This pursuit of objectivity extended to capturing the mundane yet integral aspects of everyday life, transforming cinema into an exploration of subjectivity as well. Just as literature developed modernist techniques like the stream of consciousness to delve into the ego, cinema began to analyze the human psyche in complex and often surprising ways. Mirroring the artistic and literary revolutions, cinema explored further into the darkest corners of the human mind, combining a politically engaged and revolutionary attitude with an elitist and modernist form of cinema. Black Square on a White Field, done by Kazimir Malevich in 1915, represents a violent break from preceding traditions, radically refusing representation. It marks both the end of all that came before it and the beginning of a new era, serving as a germinative element for all subsequent art. Malevich's Square exemplifies modernity's drive to transcend tradition and introduce new ways of creating, perceiving, and appreciating artistic endeavors. Similarly, the Dadaist desire to disrupt literary and artistic conventions through a radical and self-destructive movement represents an act of violent idealism aimed at paving the way for a new artistic canon. The cinematic endeavors inspired by Dada reflect the same self-destructive spirit, reducing cinema to an amalgam of discordant images and sounds. Or an abandonment of image altogether, aimed to shock the audience and to question the state and current limits of the cinema, as the Lettrism movement showed.
Retour à une sauvagerie libre, à une poésie et à une musique de tripes, de la voix pure et du cri ancestral, la vraie redécouverte de nos explosions originelles, immédiate, de la barbarie de la gorge, à poil, voilà le lettrisme.
However, the apparent joviality of Dada and other milestones of modern art masked a much deeper motivation rooted in the aftermath of the First World War. In the same manner, modern cinema was also fundamentally defined by its political implications and its revolutionary attitude.
Camarades et amis, pourquoi est-il inadmissible d'être américain? La question est importante.
The films of Jean-Luc Godard, considered the most innovative Nouvelle Vague director, encapsulate the great ambitions of modern cinema by subverting established cinematic conventions. His work employs Brechtian-style disruptions, disunions, a mixture of high and low cultural references, and an elitist Marxist perspective on art and filmmaking, all creating a distinctive approach that challenges traditional norms.
Il y avait la civilisation athénienne, il y a eu la Renaissance, et maintenant, on entre dans la civilisation du cul.
In Pierrot le Fou, the protagonist's reflections on the history of art are interrupted by his social class obligations to attend the bourgeois meaningless event. The intrusion of a women's pop magazine serves as a stark reminder of the consumerist society he cannot escape. Godard's play with pop culture references extends to the narrative level, blending a Bonnie and Clyde-esque storyline with philosophical and political allusions. Also a precursor to postmodernism, the blending of low and high cultural references in Godard's work remains a tool for criticizing consumerist society.
Voyez, elle pense qu'à rigoler.
À qui tu parles?
Spectateur.
The plot digressions and the Brechtian-style breaking of the fourth wall create an unsettling effect that prevents viewers from identifying with the narrative. The stark portrayal of violence in the film underscores a pervasive critical perspective on a society infused with brutality. Despite the apparent joviality conveyed through musical-style scenes, a vibrant color palette, and theatrical portrayals of American intervention in Vietnam, the underlying discourse remains modernist. The narrative, with its provocative, hierarchically based values and self-destructive elements leading to the violent deaths of the characters at the end, aligns with the modernist, left-wing inspired discourse of the time.
Co děláš? Panu.
In the 1966 film Daisies, Vera Ktilova constructs an unorthodox narrative composed of fragments of the everyday lives of the two female protagonists, whose name changes according to the occasion. Their choice to rebel against the fundamentally flawed world drives their various acts of childlike playfulness. More collage of absurd events than a traditional storyline, the character's disobedient spirit is mirrored in the film's stylistic artifices, culminating in self-destructive fragmentation. Yet, the political motivation of the movie lies in its rebellious spirit and playfulness, sharply contrasting with the communist Czechoslovak society of the period. The multiple allusions to the heavily controlled and closely monitored state of the society portray the two girls as outsiders who refuse to be assimilated into the collective.
Hlášená zde nejsi. Nikde nepracuješ, vidíš, na tebe není důkaz.
If modernist cinema is defined by its innovative spirit, challenging the conventions of filmmaking and its connection to society while remaining politically engaged, what then characterizes postmodern cinema? We might say that the postmodernists inherited the playful and inventive techniques of the modernists, but they employ them differently, by stripping narratives of their original significance and elevating the retelling above the original, Postmodernism reflects a shift to a more relaxed worldview, one that blurs the distinctions between high and low, original and copy, or significant and trivial.
Russian capitalist and an American communist. Oh.
On a $250 million luxury yacht.
According to the Polish sociologist Zygmunt Bauman, the fundamental difference between modernity and postmodernity lies in the former's desire to destroy traditional values. They are described as solid forms that began to erode and needed to be replaced with new solid forms that are free from the danger of destabilization. Postmodernity did not demolish the eroding forms of modernity to replace them with new solid ones. Instead, it transformed those solid forms into liquid ones. This transformation embodies the essence of postmodernity. It abandons the aggressive negation of past values. Instead of it, liquid modernity embraces playfulness, aiming to liberate the preceding heritage from its inherent tensions, and postmodern cinema is no exception.
Yeah, he believes in nothing.
He believes in nothing, Lebowski, nothing.
And tomorrow we come back and we cut off your Johnson.
Pulp Fiction by Quentin Tarantino is frequently cited as a quintessential example of postmodern cinema, defying easy categorization. The film opens with the American Heritage Dictionary's definition of pulp, highlighting two meanings: a soft, moist, and shapeless mass of matter, and a magazine or a book containing sensational stories. Tarantino's film embodies both definitions, reflecting its nature through its fragmented and non-linear narrative structure. Pulp Fiction intricately weaves together multiple storylines, drawing inspiration from a variety of genres, from crime narratives reminiscent of Bonnie and Clyde, to classic gangster thrillers. Each genre is meticulously deconstructed in a playful and grounded manner. This intertextual approach not only pays homage to this genre, but also subverts their conventions, making Pulp Fiction a seminal work in the postmodern film canon.
Goddamn! Goddamn!
The soft and shapeless characteristics of pulp not only apply to the fragmented and non-chronological plot, but also to the process of debunking the original stories. Their fluid and formless nature is conveyed through their unexpected outcomes and levity, which disrupt the comfortable familiarity that audiences expect.
You know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in Paris?
They don't call it a quarter pounder with cheese?
Oh man, they got the metric system. They wouldn't know what the fuck a quarter pounder is.
The car dialogue between two gangsters about the royal cheese sandwich, right
Remain
before
hunting
one
him.
of their missions, where people are brutally shot in the familiar context of gangster revenge, epitomizes the postmodern playful mixture of low and high elements.
Come on, do it. Let me do it.
What do they look like, Jimmy? Dorks.
The demythologization of gangsters serves not as a violent dismantling of a genre, but as a playful deconstruction, a postmodern retake stripped of its original gravity. Trivial discussions are complemented by reckless, uncalculated situations that place characters in humorous positions. The unintentional killing of a witness is followed by the comedic consequences of trying to cover up the situation, all under the pressure of a woman's return to her family home, where two gangsters and a dead body have sought refuge.
Fuck is this place?
The well-known scenario of a gang member tasked with taking out the big boss's wife is rendered shocking through its playful elements, such as the famous cold dancing and the unexpected twists of the night. The untouchable wife is dragged into the house of an ordinary drug dealer in a complete state of unconsciousness, only to be revived from her overdose-induced coma with an adrenaline shot. The story takes a particularly peculiar turn with the coincidental meeting of Butch and Marcellus Wallace, the gang's boss who has been pursuing Butch. Their entangled narrative
Butch.
places them in the defenseless position of victims at the hands of two random psychopaths. The carefully constructed untouchable aura of the mob leader, maintained by only allowing allusions to his persona and never revealing his face, suffers a massive downfall as he is suddenly exposed in a state of hazardous vulnerability.
God damn, it's a pretty fucking good milkshake.
Told you. What sets Pulp Fiction apart from its modernist precursors is not the use of fragmented storylines, pastiche, or genre blending, but rather the underlying motivation for these techniques. Unlike modernity's revolutionary, destructive, and politically grounded spirit, the postmodernist approach embraces the modernist tradition by stripping it of its solid foundations, retelling the stories without its hierarchical perspective. A recent example of postmodernism in film is Radu Jude's 2023 work, Do Not Expect Too Much from the End of the World. The film intertwines two narratives from different eras, both centered on women named Angela in Bucharest, Romania. Jude cleverly incorporates scenes featuring the communist-era Angela from an older Romanian movie, recycling and seamlessly integrating them into his own film.
E bun peștele. E bun pentru că e moale.
This collage technique, a hallmark of postmodernism, is employed throughout the film, transforming it into an over 2-hour road journey with Angela, an overworked production assistant who is distracting herself from the over hours by making caricatural, obscene TikTok videos with an Andrew Tate filter.
Ei câștigă mii sau zeci de mii de euro. Treaba lor dacă muncești 16 ore. Eu trebuie să stau să mă milogesc de ei să-mi dea banii mei.
The film portrays the brutal realities of savage capitalism, highlighting the harsh exploitation of workers through the experiences of both the main character, Angela, and the work accident-disabled individuals she is tasked with casting for a commercial on safety regulations. This narrative runs parallel to the story of an old Angela, a female taxi driver during the communist era. The collage effect weaves together diverse and digressive elements, from a meeting with a business owner planning to relocate graves from his newly acquired land in an illegally extended cemetery, to the recurring appearances of Bobiță, Angela's vulgar and misogynistic alter ego, whose videos show up during the narrative.
Zice, p***a femeii e ca 4 țări. Ca
Kind of like the UK.
Ca Coreea, că e împărțită în două, ca vestul sălbatic că sângerează mult și ca România că-ți vine să-ți bași p***a.
The dialogue is packed with a wide array of references, spanning cinema, literature, historical anecdotes, and allusions to the royal family, presented by characters whose lives remain disconnected from these grand symbols. Rather than creating a sense of discontinuity or discomfort, the intersection of these elements unites the film in a postmodern fashion, reflecting a world where everything is recycled and the original is deconstructed, with stories retold from different subjective perspectives.
Wow, so huge and very impressive.
The film's caricatured portrayal of the controversial Andrew Tate persona used to highlight the flaws of contemporary society, the random inclusion of German director Uwe Boll's short films, and the deliberate usage of the old Angela story all underscore a shift away from valuing the original, instead focusing on the significance of the copy.
Să nu se vadă că sunteți la distracție, nu dă bine. Ar trebui să pară mai dramatic.
Mai tragi.
Da. Aha, da. Asta e o imagine mai bună.
Another element that underscores the film's postmodernist nature is the persistent ambiguity that lingers with viewers throughout, abounding with critical allusions to the harsh, dysfunctional
That's not the
capitalism
airport?
of contemporary Romania. The parallel with Angela from the communist era doesn't offer a clear alternative or suggest that one system is superior to the other. Both Angelas appear as products of their respective times and societies, Biangela of capitalist Romania navigates Bucharest streets in a nomadic, dislocated way, confronting abusive male drivers, haggling with street book vendors, surviving on shawarma and energy drinks, and consuming all genres of music in her car.
Aici Dallas, Texas, ia uite. Deci a ieșit fratele vostru Bobiță Ewing, bă, din zgârie nori.
Ușor.
The film doesn't prioritize one reality over the other. It rejects hierarchical distinctions by highlighting the dysfunctions of both worlds, presenting them as two distinct ecosystems that operate differently.
Hai să aveți o zi bună, cius, bă, nu uitați să dați like și share, da?
Whose chopper is this?
Zed's.
Who's Zed?
Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead.
Zed's dead, baby. Chaos, pure chaos. The fuck?
Outside. So once you go outside, you get to like the curb area and you have a choice between taking a taxi, a collectivo, or an OC. You're planning on flying. Check your app for that same price. During daylight hours.
Fuck up. We're not racist. Okay. Here we go. Dunk there. There's some.
Estoy en el norte de México lindo y querido para documentar la primera liberación de bisontes después de haberse extinguido. Y empiezo en uno de los lugares más representativos de la región que conocemos todos los latinos, el Muro del Sueño Americano.